Imagine being sold into slavery by your own family, betrayed, stripped of everything, and forced into a foreign land. What would you do? Would you sink into bitterness or rise above it? That's the story of Joseph, a man who went from being a slave in Egypt to ruling the most powerful empire of his time. And in the end, he had to decide whether to forgive the very people who destroyed his life. Joseph's story picks up in the house of Potiphar, an Egyptian officer under Pharaoh. He's a Hebrew slave, but there's something different about him. Everything he touches seems to prosper. Potiphar notices and puts him in charge of his entire household. But just when things seem to be looking up, trouble strikes. Potiphar's wife takes an interest in Joseph, repeatedly trying to seduce him. But Joseph refuses. One day she grabs his cloak, and when he pulls away, she accuses him of attacking her. Potiphar is furious. And just like that, Joseph is thrown into prison. How would you feel if you were in Joseph's place? Would you still believe that God had a plan for you? But even in prison, Joseph stands out. The jailer sees his wisdom and integrity, and soon Joseph is put in charge of the other prisoners. One day, two of Pharaoh's officials, the royal cupbearer and baker, have troubling dreams. Joseph interprets them. The cupbearer will be restored to his position, but the baker will be executed. And sure enough, it happens exactly as Joseph predicted. Before the cupbearer leaves prison, Joseph pleads, "Remember me when you are restored." But the cupbearer forgets him. 2 long years pass. Imagine the frustration, the questions, the waiting. Have you ever felt forgotten? Then, Pharaoh himself has 2 disturbing dreams: 7 fat cows devoured by 7 skinny ones, and 7 full heads of grain swallowed by 7 shriveled ones. No one can interpret them. That's when the cupbearer finally remembers Joseph. Joseph is rushed before Pharaoh, and he declares, "God has revealed the meaning." The dreams are a warning. 7 years of plenty will be followed by 7 years of devastating famine. Joseph doesn't just interpret the dream, he offers a plan. Pharaoh is so impressed that he makes Joseph second in command over all of Egypt. The years pass, and the famine hits. Not just Egypt, but the surrounding lands, including Canaan, where Joseph's family lives. His brothers, the same ones who sold him into slavery, travel to Egypt seeking grain. They don't recognize Joseph, but he recognizes them. Now, Joseph has the power to take revenge. What would you do? He tests them, demanding they bring their youngest brother, Benjamin. When they do, he plants a silver cup in Benjamin's sack and accuses him of theft. When Judah offers himself as a slave in Benjamin's place, Joseph sees something has changed. His brothers aren't the same men who betrayed him. Overcome with emotion, he finally reveals himself. "I am Joseph, your brother." His brothers are terrified. Will he punish them? Instead, Joseph speaks words that would echo through history. "You meant evil against me, but God meant it for good, to bring about this present result, to save many lives." He forgives them. He reunites with his father, Jacob, and he provides for his entire family in Egypt. Joseph's story is one of betrayal, resilience, and redemption. But above all, it's about perspective. He could have let bitterness define him. Instead, he saw that even in suffering, God was working. What about you? Have you ever faced a situation where something painful later turned into a blessing? Would you have the strength to forgive like Joseph did? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. And if you enjoyed this story, make sure to like and subscribe for more.